All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Gridiron Gurus podcast. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at three free agents the Las Vegas Raiders should target in free agents here, starting in a couple of days. I'm recording this about an hour after the breaking news that Max Crosby has been traded to the Baltimore Ravens. I'd say it's a pretty good haul. They brought in two first-round picks. The Ravens met their demand, including the 14th overall pick in this upcoming draft. That's a very important selection. You didn't want to keep Crosby clogged up in the prime of his career here in the middle of a rebuild, especially when this roster has so many holes and so many needs. It just made a ton of sense for them to part ways. And I think that they're going to have pretty good off seasons to come, about $90 million in cap space. And then, that draft capital should serve them well if it's used properly, of course. So Crosby is no longer in Las Vegas. Jumping into this episode, number one, Alex Pierce at wide receiver. Guys like Wandale Robinson are available. Jawan Jennings, a handful of different guys you can spend up for, but I think Alec Pierce makes a lot of sense here. 4-year, $80 million contracts, what I'm projecting. I know a lot of people are saying he could approach, north of 90 to $100 million. I don't know how realistic that seems. I don't know why he'd be getting that kind of payday. I know he's had a very good career, was very good with the Colts, had 500 plus yards in all four seasons, coming off his best career year, 47 receptions, 1,000 yards. 21 yards per catch. He's been about a 19-yard per catch guy throughout his tenure with the Colts. Coming out of the combine, I knew this guy was going to be a star because when you watched him in college, he always shined of his physicality, showcasing that good size, the ball skills to go with it. This is a guy at 6'3", 211 who's also able to run a 4.4 40 in Indianapolis. And, the Colts ended up loving that. And they drafted him, and he ended up being a very good player. So I knew this guy was going to be a star at the next level. What is his ceiling like when it comes to being, a productive player? Can he approach 1,500 yards as the number one option in a team's offense? I'm really not sure. He does have a strong skill set, though. He can be a big time playmaker for your offense, a trusted guy when it comes to his hands. He had one of the best drop ratios this past season, only one drop on the year throughout the entire season. He was healthy the entire year as well. I think in weeks 4 and 5 he was a little banged up, but other than that, he played the entire season, was very good. The Raiders need to go out there and get somebody for Mendoza. It's a wide receiver group that is not very impressive. Brock Bowers, of course, at tight end is phenomenal. That's all they have right now. So I think this is a guy who's been consistently very good. He's going to come over and help this rookie quarterback really develop. And of course, there was issues with the Colts in terms of their quarterback position as well. So this isn't exactly going to be the toughest challenge for him. He's proven he can play with pretty much anybody, regardless of the skill set or the inexperience. So I think going out there and spending up for a big ticket receiver, there's some teams who have a lot of cap who I don't anticipate spending a whole lot this offseason. That's not going to be the Raiders. $88.6 million available. They need to go out there and put this to good use because the roster needs help. And if they can get a young player like this for a $20 million per year contract to really help bolster this offense, I think it'd make a lot of sense. So I think he'll be a good prime target as they continue to revamp this pass catching group. Gives them two pretty good options, though, in Pierce and Bowers to get things started. Moving to number two, DJ Reader over at defensive tackle. This is a team that has a new defensive coordinator, Rob Leonard. They're likely going to be moving to a 3-4 with him at the helm. And in that case, they're going to need a good nose tackle to really help upstart this revamp on defense. It's another area where they're just not very good. And now that Crosby's gone, the defense is even worse. They just have no talent really across the board, not much to be excited about. And that includes the defense. The defensive line, that is Reader. He's been a pretty good player throughout his career, drafted back in 2016, that is, coming off some really respectable seasons for Detroit. He's now going to be back on the open market, most likely. I think about $10 million per year, give him a nice 2-year contract. He's a run stuffing veteran. The run defense really wasn't that bad for the Raiders. I thought collectively it was about mid level, middle of the pack. That's fine. But they're going to be drafting a lot of young guys that come to this defensive line. It's not easy to go out there and get a run stuffing nose in this league. So I think if they want to really help correct this position to fit this new scheme, and again help jumpstart it, it would make sense to go out there and get a veteran. He is aging, of course, but he's still playing some consistently good football. He's been a nice pass rusher as well. Only 18 career sacks, didn't have any this past year, but he's not a guy that just gets bulldozed by any means. He helps create some pressure on occasion, can hit the quarterback from every now and again. And I think in this 3-4, that'd make a lot of sense to go out there and get this veteran on a relatively cheaper contract again, to help just come be a leader, because I think this is a team that's really going to have to build through the draft. And again, I think they can match that with free agency, but for the most part, you're going to look to, fill out your defense when it comes to starters and rotational pieces through the draft. And these younger guys are going to need a veteran out there to come teach them the ways of the league, right? And I think Reader could definitely be a nice implementation for this roster. So nice 2-year deal there for him. And if he plays better, you can maybe even extend him for another 1 or 2 years to kind of finish out his career. A guy that's going to be 32 years old here soon. I think it'd make a lot of sense. 6'3", 335, nice run defender. And again, with Crosby being gone, a lot of that tenacity up front, especially against the run, is going to be lacking. So they could take a big step back against the run if you want to avoid that. I think DJ Reader would make a lot of sense to be a leader for this group. Moving to number three, Elijah Vera Tucker. This is a guy who did not play this past season. He's always had durability concerns. I don't think he's ever played a full season um, without having an injury. And for the Jets, this was a very good player, right? And this guy can play tackle, but for the most part, he settled in at right guard. The interior offensive line's not very good for the Raiders. The only position that's really good on this roster would probably be left tackle, right? Colton Miller's going to come back, and he's going to be good for them as a nice pass protector. But they need to invest in this interior. There's some really good options in free agency this year at center and guard, so they could look to double up at a couple of those positions, right? But I think Vera Tucker makes a lot of sense. He's a guy with good lateral movement, would fit really well into this zoned running scheme that Clint Kubiak is going to initiate with Ashton Gianti at the helm. The run blocking was just terrible last year, and there's so many clips throughout the season of Gianti just getting swallowed up behind the line of scrimmage because nobody could block, right? And I think the pass protection was also very shaky throughout the season, and that's going to need to improve if you want to properly develop Fernando Mendoza. Obviously, I'm not sure if he's going to start right away, and I think the goal is maybe to bring in a veteran to start a couple of games. But I mean, nonetheless, you're going to have to find some pass protection. You're going to have to find more consistency on the ground as well. And I think this is a guy that you might have to overpay for. $20 million per year. I think that's fair. I'm not really sure where people project him in terms of how much he'll get paid on a yearly basis because of that durability issues and not playing last season at all. So that's something to monitor. But I think $20 million is appropriate. He certainly has earned it. He was a very consistent player in his 4 years with the Jets, a lone bright spot, was consistently one of the top run blockers in the league. And again, that position versatility allows you to really do a lot of different things with him. So I think Vera Tucker is a phenomenal player. A lot of upside here. He's still young, only 4 years of experience under his belt. He's about 27 years old when the season starts, 6'5", 308. And I think he'd be a good fit for this offense. So this is a guy I think that can dish out 20 million per year too, maybe even more. This interior offensive line again, they need a lot of help, and I really want to see them get aggressive in free agency. And I think Vera Tucker would be a great way to get things started. You got guys like David Edwards, Connor McGovern also out there. I think they're going to do a lot of things with this offensive line because that's a big reason why this offense was just not good last year. And I think they can have potential. You have this second-year running back. You have this first overall draft pick at quarterback. Colton Miller still, again, a phenomenal left tackle. And you have an offensive guru now coming in to be your head coach. So they can really do things to really get this offense transition quickly if they are aggressive in free agency with this offensive line. So I look for them to do that. It's going to cap things off for today's episode. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. See you next time.